And also, just the flip side of borrower behavior is just underwriting standards. Are you finding more aggressive underwriting right now? Like how does that all kind of mesh together?
We're finding that compared to 2007, it's very conservative underwriting for the A lender. Slowly over the last 2 years, as you get reports from Trepp to tell you that less defaults, people getting a little more comfortable. But I think that their comfort is just really on the items that were like the gray area, like a wiggle room, like I could go between this cap and this cap, they'll get a little more aggressive. But overall, I think the debt yield, whoever came out with the debt yield concept, even though you saw debt yield started at 10, and now you go to 9, and then you go to 8 to 9, and then for a credit tenant, you have a CTL, or you go down to some lenders are claiming to go to 7.5. But that's, I think the underwriting below that is staying pretty firm on that end of it. And like Shlomo was saying before, the lenders, when they hear vacancy, they're putting reserves. So you have less of an NOI. All those numbers are going before that NOI. So is it loosening up a little bit? It's loosening up, but no one's going more really than 75% LTV on the AP. So I think it's the protection is there.
Oh, which leads you into the appraiser issue, and appraisers, you have to feel for them because they just constantly get beat up from every side, and they have pressure. It's almost like special servicing asset managers. You're darned if you do, and if you're not, you're darned if you don't. Sort of, the originators want you to appraise at a higher number. The borrowers want you to appraise at a lower number. The special servicers really, I don't think, have a here where the appraisal comes in. They just don't want it to be higher than the value or lower than the value. So it's sort of, that in my opinion, from what I'm seeing, is a major issue. I was telling Kevin before, we had a refinance on a modified property where essentially the appraiser grossed up 35% of the space that hasn't been leased in a couple of years into the income, and then took a 7% vacancy factor for a B- building. And I was
Who's
shocked.
he working for?
Who was the appraiser working for? Actually, it's a loan you guys originated.
But I was saying it today with the appraiser, you bring up a different point. You're talking about the appraiser on the exit today going out. I'm talking about the appraiser going in. When there's a debt yield, it's not affected by the appraiser.
But it's the same, I agree, but it's the same guy. You're right, debt yield's an issue, but then again, if you have phantom income that never is going to show up, it's pro forma.
So that's I think that's the most important part. The loans that are going into special servicing are loans before there was debt yield and before they stopped underwriting future rents. Today, loans that are being placed, and that's why new loans are not going into special servicing, is on that eight piece of paper. On the first loan, they're getting 75%, not to exceed 75%. Not to go below typically an 8 to 9 debt yield of in-place cash flow. This is before the appraiser's coming in. Then they send it to the appraiser, and the appraiser can appraise the building for $22 million. But if the debt yield only works for a $14 million loan, that's less than a 75% loan to value. So they're going at 70. So although you could throw out a line, these were loans that I did at that time. These are loans. This is how loans were done at that time. When I analyze with the lenders, I don't have a disproportionate default rate on my loans versus the marketplace. That's how loans were done at that time. And you were saying it before, a put option. I used to meet a borrower who tells me, yeah, it is a put option. I'm buying a building for $100 million. I get 93% financing. I do a 90-10 deal with a institution on the rest.
$500,000, you bought $100 million.
I put $1 million. My assets fee to buy the property, I get $1 million fee. That's what I'm rolling in, and I get management. So you tell me about a lease rolling in 4 years from now? It's a put. I have non-recourse. I can roll it at that time. So in that case, I didn't even do the financing. I said, then my numbers will be higher than the rollover later on.
But whose fault? It's not. I can't blame fault.
It's a market.
But why has it come to that point?
I mean, but to Ira's point about not being at 2000 levels, but what he just described as the rationalization for what's happening and why it's strong fundamentals, is the exact kind of conversations we were having in 2006 that begot 2007, right? So it's not very hard to get to the same point again because you can sort of, the V and LTV is always the issue, right? The debt yields, I think, actually help because that sort of gives you a marker, but those have come down 20% in the last year. And the other issue is while I agree that if you look at deals that are getting done today and coverage ratios and LTVs are better, than what we saw certainly in 06 and 07. They're simply moment in time underwriting. And what we're not, again, doing a very good job of is putting structure around the event risk that are in those loans. You got 75% of your rent roll rolling over in the first 5 years, and I guarantee you that most lenders are not adequately covering the risk of those tenants either leaving, downsizing, or reducing their
Is it
rent.
possible to cover that risk?
Probably not. But I'm saying it's easy to look at it today and say the weighted average LTV is 68% and the weighted average debt coverage is 160. Let's throw a party.
And let's throw a 20% haircut on that when we go to the rating
And then
agencies.
all of a sudden we wake up because, take retail as an example, recent deals are 50% retail in most CMBS deals probably. There's a lot of things that are happening in retail. The retail landscape is going to look dramatically different 5 or 10 years from now than it does today. Companies are going out of business, companies are downsizing, consumer spending habits are changing. And while you can't account for that in the loan, all I suggest, and I'm not even suggesting that you structure around it, I'm just suggesting that you go into it with your eyes wide open for a change.